right, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 1002 of BD4. I appreciate you all tuning into the podcast. In this episode, we will be talking about the Yankees. We'll be talking about one of the best second basemen in baseball, who happens to be one of the key cogs in the Yankee lineup. Not traded this winter, thank God, Jazz Chisholm Jr. We're going to talk about Jazz Chisholm as we continue to do our player projection profiles, whatever you want to call it, here this winter and go over every player on the roster. Well, as much as we can. I can't promise we're going to get to everybody by opening day, but we will try. We've been going through a lot of guys and just breaking down what to expect. But Jazz Chisholm is tonight. Jazz is one of my favorite players. He's probably my favorite player on the team. Yankees fans love him. The crowd loves him. The crowd goes electric every time this guy gets a big hit. And he just makes being a Yankees fan exciting, you know. And in this episode, we're going to discuss Jazz. We're going to discuss what he's done so far as a Yankee. We're going to discuss what people may not love about Jazz, some narratives that maybe are out there, pros, cons, season expectations, and things such as that. But if there's one thing that everybody can agree on, it's that as a New York Yankee, Jazz Chisholm has been playing the best baseball of his career. Right, since being traded here to the Yankees in the middle of the 2023 season? No. Since being traded here in the middle of the 2024 season, Jazz Chisholm has played 176 games, has taken 722 plate appearances, has posted a 5.7 BWAR, plus 4 base running run value. He's plus 4 in fielding run value, and he's plus 17 in batting run value. He's got a 251 average as a Yankee with a 330 on base, 486 slug, 816 OPS, 126 OPS plus, 103 RBIs, 42 home runs, 49 stolen bases, 193 strikeouts, 27% K rate, 72 walks at a 10% walk rate, and 11 outs above average. Those are Jazz Chisholm's numbers as a Yankee. So about a full season and change, he's produced some robust numbers. Last season with the Yanks, which was his first full season in the pinstripes, quotes around full season because he only played 130 games, 531 plate appearances, but he finishes with a 4.2 BWAR, plus 3 in base running run value, plus 2 in fielding run value, and plus 19 in batting run value. Across the season, bats .242 with a 332 on base, 481 slug, 813 OPS, and a 125 OPS plus, 80 RBIs, and of course, 31 home runs and 31 stolen bases. Struck out 148 times at a 28% rate and 58 walks at an 11% rate. Had 5 outs above average between both third base and second base. Jazz Chisholm is a very fun Yankee to watch. He's come here and he has completely just been this power bat in the middle of the lineup that you just need to have him stapled in there every day. And what I love most about the bat of Jazz Chisholm is he hasn't shied away from the fact that he's playing in Yankee Stadium. He's leaned into it. And there's this narrative every time a lefty comes into Yankee Stadium, and understandably so, I get it to a degree, that, like, you know, traditionalists will say don't do this, don't do that, don't fall in love with it. But what I love about Jazz is his refusal to bend to the traditionalists that tell him you got to shorten up your swing. You got to stop selling out for power. Stop pulling the baseball too much because you're in Yankee Stadium. No, Jazz is not listening to that. And he's embracing his power as a lefty in Yankee Stadium. And that suits him perfectly. Why would you want to go away from that? Lean into it. That's your style. It's always been how he's been. This is how he's put up the numbers that he's put up. Right? So this idea that Jazz Chisholm swings too much and he whiffs too much and he strikes out too much and he swings too hard, that idea is a little bit insane to me. First of all, he doesn't chase a ton. Okay, maybe he gets this reputation of somebody who just swings at everything. Doesn't leave the zone a ton. 59th percentile last year in chase rate, so above average, and that helped him get the most walks he's ever had. 78th percentile in walk rate last year, and that led to a fine on base of 332. But second of all, again, playing to what his strengths always were. That's what he's doing. Last season, you saw Jazz Chisholm's barrel rate shoot up. The amount of barrels he had last year shot up because he was trying to improve on taking advantage of his power in Yankee Stadium. He started using the torpedo bat. Let me get more barrels. And so he had a career high 15% barrel rate last year, which was 91st percentile in baseball. And he had a career high 16 degrees launch angle last year. The most launch he's had on his swing ever. The league average sits around 12. He also had a career high in bat speed, 74 miles an hour. That's at 76th percentile in baseball. And he pulled the ball in the air 25% of the time. League average is 17%. It's the second highest of his career. First across the full season. He swung at the first pitch a lot. 38% of the time he was swinging at the first pitch. League average at swinging at the first pitch, 30%. So he does all the things that like the traditional old school fan, the purist, may not like. And so the pushback from Jazz's biggest critics is that like that style of offense doesn't help in the playoffs. And I would counter that by saying, like, what about Cody Bellinger, his teammate? Because if you think about Jazz Chisholm's style at the plate, and then if you think about Cody Bellinger's style at the plate, kind of the total opposite in approach. Where Cody Bellinger is somebody who's going to go up there, and if it calls for it, he's going to shorten his swing. And if it calls for it, he's not going to pull the ball to right field. He's going to shorten it and poke it the other way. Just look at that game. Remember, it was Yankees Sox, and I think it was in September or August, where it's a tie game, or the Yankees are up just one in the late innings. They're at Fenway Park, and Aroldis Chapman's on the mound. He shortens up his swing. It's a full count. It's like a 13 pitch at bat, whatever it was. And he just gets just enough. It's a moderately hit ball, but it's like a pop-up that hits the green monster. And he gets a double out of it and extends the lead, right? Different type of hitter than Jazz, who would swing for the fences there. But guess what? It doesn't mean you're not going to hit in the playoffs because you don't have an approach that's like this ideal traditional approach. Because Cody Bellinger, who has that professional approach, he doesn't hit in the playoffs either, statistically. The guy has a 660 lifetime OPS in the postseason, and his sample is 3 times as large. We're talking about a 20-something game sample with Jazz not hitting in the playoffs. I just don't think it's fair to say it's because of that approach. Well, then why does Cody Bellinger struggle? Why do certain guys who have similar approaches to Jazz thrive, and vice versa? It doesn't come down to approach. It just comes down to we're critiquing a 20-something game sample. And to be honest, if we're being quite honest, if there is a style that I want my, one of my key players to have in today's MLB playoffs, it's 100% that style, the style that chases power. Because teams that out-homer their opponent, and we've said this stat millions of times already on the show, teams that out-homer their opponent in the postseason are playing close to .850 ball in the last 5 years. It's a number that speaks for itself. I would much rather bank on my lineup getting off the big swing and producing the big hit on an Aroldis Chapman late in the 8th or the 9th inning versus trying to string together 3-4 hits in the 9th inning. What's more likely to happen? What's easier to happen? Capitalizing on a mistake pitch, selling out for power, and getting one to go. If anything, it's not the approach that's weighed down Jazz's playoffs. I would even say, like, if it's anything you want to take from that 24-game sample, it's just the cold weather. This is a kid who's used to playing in Miami. He grew up in the Bahamas, and ever since coming to New York in his first 2 seasons, he's had some, or I guess last year he came here for a full season. First time in April, he had a cold April, right? 30 games, he wasn't good. And then he's had some cold October. So I think it's the cold weather, if anything. And he's even been vocal about that before. But if there's an actual real critique about the bat, it's not the approach. That approach is the reason Jazz Chisholm has been one of the best second basemen in baseball, probably the best second baseman in the American League. If there's a real critique to the bat, it's about his ability to handle off-speed pitches from left-handed pitching. And we're going to talk about Jazz's struggles against left-handed pitching the second we get back. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to episode 1002 of BD4. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Now, I'm going to preface by saying almost nobody in baseball is just as good versus the same hand and versus off-speed pitches as they are against the opposite hand and fastballs. Most guys struggle when you get to scenarios like that. But as a left-handed hitter, against left-handed pitching, Jazz, as a left-handed hitter, has never been great. Throughout his career, he's got a .665 OPS. That's 145 points worse than his OPS against righties lifetime. Last season against lefties, it was more manageable, but still not great. .733 OPS against left-handed pitching. It's 110 points worse, though, than what his OPS was against righties. The on-base was better last year, but you still had a big dip in slugging percentage when he saw lefties. And it's those left-handed breaking balls. Right. He can handle curves. He can obviously mash fastballs, but sliders and sweepers, that's his biggest kryptonite. He's put up poor results on those types of pitches, poor expected numbers on those pitches, high whiff rates, low hard hit numbers. Just never been able to really get to those types of pitches as a lefty. It's tough for him to pick up that left-on-left slider. That's why he sat Game 1 versus Boston against Garrett Crochet, who's got that sweeper, right? Change-ups will get him to induce a lot of soft contact. So as a lefty, he's just not great against lefties and off-speed pitches from lefties. And that's something Yankees fans are going to have to live with, because with that comes elite offense against right-handed pitching, which is more than 3/4 of the league. So he makes his impact everywhere else, right? He crushes right-handers, and you go beyond the bat. I mean, Jazz Chisholm he's an exceptional base runner. He's +3 in base running run value. That was 86th percentile last year. He had 31 stolen bases, as we mentioned. He just, beyond the stolen bases, though, the kid's got the athleticism to create extra runs off of base hits. And that is super valuable on this team. You saw that against Boston in the wild card series. When Austin Wells was at the plate, it was the 8th inning. It's a tie game. Wells is at the plate, and he picks up a hit. And Jazz Chisholm, I think it was a single. Jazz Chisholm goes from first base to home plate. He scores from first to home in 9 seconds. So that's valuable. He creates runs just by being out there. If he's on second base and it's a base hit, it's an auto run. Shit. If he gets on base, it's, he's so fast, it's almost an auto runners and scoring. It's almost an automatic runner in scoring position because he's going to steal. It goes so under the radar how impactful it is to have someone with that much speed and that much knack for base running. But Jazz Chisholm, he's got that. And he plays great second base. We know this. The athleticism helps him there, the range. He makes highlight plays. If you go on Fangraphs, he was +2 in defensive run saves. As we said, he was 8 outs above average at second base last year. And overall, he was +5 in fielding run value at second base. I am really excited to see him play second for a full season. I know he made the shift early last year, but still, it's going to be different because you're going to have Jazz and Caballero up the middle this year. That's going to shore up your infield a lot. It's 10 times a better tandem than what was at one point Volpe LeMahieu. It's more efficient. It's way more athletic. It's just more short-handed. 2 guys who are going to make the play. Does Jazz airmail some of these transfers once in a while? Yeah. At the end of the day, the defensive metrics will back them up, and that's way more important than our eye test. So he's playing just really good baseball, and outside of that, he's got the personality that I love. Lots of people don't like it. Lots of people don't like the flashiness, which is why I like it. He's a guy who talks a lot. He's going to get into the face of his opponents. He'll wear flashy accessories. He celebrates very loud, bat flips and on the bases. And, he does all that stuff. Does some of it go too far with maybe arguing with officials, arguing with umpires too much, or, going on Twitter and doing whatever the hell he does on there. And you have the wild card post-game interview people didn't like. There's some things that people don't like. I get it. But at the end of the day, I take whatever is labeled as bad with the good. Because at the end of the day, he produces for my favorite baseball team and he helps my favorite baseball team win games. And I feel like the Yankees need that type of personality that might make people feel uncomfortable. I feel like this is an organization that's a little too buttoned up and a little too professional. And they've been boring for a minute, and they needed somebody like this. You thought you were getting that in Donaldson. Turned out he just sucked, and he was also just not the right asshole you wanted. But you're getting that in Jazz, where he's productive, and he's in the middle of his prime. And I would not be shocked one bit if Jazz Chisholm goes out there this year and he puts up a 40-40 season. I wouldn't be shocked. I really see Alfonso Soriano type upside in him. He reminds me a lot of him. If anybody could do it on the Yankees with the new bases and the new rules from the last couple of years, I think it's Jazz. He just needs to stay healthy, and I'm praying he does. But I also see on top of the base running and in the home runs, you might see an uptick in the walk rate. You might see an uptick in the on-base percentage because of the ABS system, right? The amount of times that Jazz Chisholm has gotten completely screwed over on some calls is wild, right? We all know this. So I think that might help him, challenging some calls and hopefully getting a couple right, and might lead to an extra percentage or two on his walk rate. So I'm excited for Jazz. I'm glad the Yankees kept him around, and now he's going to continue to be a staple in the middle of the order here, whether it's batting fifth or sixth. I like those two spots for him. He had 300 plate appearances last year batting fifth, and he put up a 735 OPS. He had 121 plate appearances batting sixth, and he put up a 927 OPS. So maybe that's something the Yankees are thinking about. But for me, it's not really where. It's who's outside of him. As long as the Yankees are keeping a right-handed bat in front of Jazz, and with Rosario either starting against lefties or getting a pinch hit appearance, that's going to help avoid those lefty lanes 5, 6, 7 or 6, 7, 8 when the bullpens come in and Jazz now can have two righties sandwiching him. That's the ideal lineup for me, whether it's Stanton, Jazz, and then Rosario when McMahon gets pulled, or Rosario when McMahon sits. That's what you really want. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, man, Jazz is great, which is funny because, like, we've talked about this a lot. It's funny because people will say that this lineup is Judge reliant or it's Judge or bust, but they're also the same ones who love Bellinger, who love Jazz, who love Rice, who love Grisham. I mean, the team had 10 guys above league average in WRC plus last year. They had 7 guys with a 125 WRC plus or better last year. That's unheard of. So just give a little bit more respect to the rest of this lineup, and give a little bit more respect, if you haven't yet, to Jazz Chisholm Jr., because the kid can rake. If you go on Fangraphs, the projections that we're going to read off right now are pretty good. Steamer projects him to play 131 games, bat 241 with a 318 on base, 447 slug, and a 764 OPS, 26 bombs, 27 stolen bags. Steamer tends to be a bit conservative with their projections. The Zips projections have him playing 134 games, batting 235, 319 on base, 435 slugging, 754 OPS, 25 home runs, 29 stolen bases. Zips also tends to be conservative. And then there's the Oopsie projections on Fangraphs. They've got him playing 141 games, 246 average, 324 on base, 452 slug, so a 777 OPS, 28 homers, 34 stolen bases. So they tend to be a bit more optimistic with their projections. But personally, I would hope that it's another similar season, and I would hope he hovers over an 800 OPS and can flirt with 30-30 or produce another 30-30 season. I know he wants the 40-40, so we'll see. But no extension yet. He will be entering his final year of arbitration, where the Yankees have agreed to pay him $10 million the remainder of the year, or for 2026. Will there be an extension at some point in the season? I doubt it. The Yankees usually don't extend mid-season, and Cashman usually, he's not really big on extensions. The Yankees don't, they haven't paid their second baseman. Historically, they don't pay their second baseman, if you think about it. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I mean, unless, like, he has this unreal season and you just lose him to somebody like the Dodgers who pay him a bunch of money. But I also think not getting an extension this year could motivate Jazz to put up some numbers in a contract season. And then you worry about that when you get there, right? And maybe he's motivated coming off the World Baseball Classic. He's playing with Great Britain. That's going to be cool to watch him play with that team. Maybe he can lead them to a... I know he played in the Classic before. I believe 10 years ago he played, and they made the quarterfinal, but they lost. I don't remember who he played with, but might have been Great Britain. But yeah, I just hope he's healthy. Just please stay healthy, because he's in the prime of his career, and his injury history has not been promising. You know, it's been knee injuries, it's been UCL, groin, oblique last year. 2024 was his first time ever playing 125 games or more. So you're hoping for at least 20 more. You know, I would love him to stay healthy, and if he can, big things are in the picture for him. You know, and if the Yankees need to be a little more conservative with him, sit him, rest him in some certain series, maybe you're playing the Oakland A's or the White Sox or whoever else is going to be shit this year, sure. But just hope he's healthy enough to have himself a big year, because I think there is more to be unlocked here. So with that said, we're going to head to our final break, get back and wrap this one, and I'll wrap this one up in just a minute. Stay with us.
Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay, welcome back to the show. And as we were just recording here, I don't want to call it breaking news, but former Yankee Mike Tauchman has signed with, you guessed it, where does everybody go when they leave the Yankees? To Queens. Mike Tauchman will be a Met, joining the 7,428 other Yankees who have left in the past couple of years. So that's hilarious. I think it's a minor league contract, but that happened. He was fun for a minute. You know, I thought he was going to be something. He had some good years. You know, I really thought he was going to be good, and this is kind of embarrassing looking back. Remember Mike Ford, big first baseman? I really did think that guy had 20 homer power. I don't know where he is, but he was another one of those guys, I believe from Jersey. But yeah, that was fun. Anyways, that's it for us. Jazz Chisholm, due for a big year. Do you guys think he could do 30-30 again? Do you think he could do 40-40? That's tough. But I think it's in him. I think if anybody can do it, it's him, as I said. But you let me know what you think. And that is all we got. That's all we got for this episode. I'm going to wrap it up. And go Yanks. I'll see you soon. Later. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.